Okay, so here we are post-comming the finals of the Tony's Game Show Network Draft League. The live com was there, but it was really, really long. It was another of the best of 5 series, and I kind of just stopped talking during it because I don't know. I was really concentrating. But anyway, anyway, so it is against Kribreb. I've talked to him many times over Discord. Well, not many, but a couple times over Discord. Nice guy. Anyway, he's also really good. And as you can see, got a pretty scary team. Got Mega Diancie over there, Corviknight, Flygon, Cinderace, Skuntank, Mew, which Mew obviously in draft is kind of insane because you never know what it's going to be. Here, as you may notice, I don't really have good Cinderace switch-ins, which, because I thought it was able to be Libero, I learned only after that it was forced to be Blaze, because that was the rules in the league. But it doesn't really come into play. Outside of, I had this really cool strategy with Dragapult that I would substitute and then hit him and get him to turn into a Dark type and then Will-O-Wisp him. But anyway, as you can see, Skuntank is there and it can pursue my Dragapult, so I didn't bring Specs into this like I usually do, or Dragon Dance for that matter. I brought Will-O-Wisp, Sub, Dragon Darts, and Steel Wing. So, yeah. And here, I'm just gonna lead, I think I lead Dragapult. My secret plan is, so I've got a Scale Shot, Crocodile that can win if I get it set up and get rid of Corviknight. Obviously, well, I mean, by setup, I mean I have to get one Scale Shot off, and I have Moxie. So if I can get a Scale Shot off into the Flygon, and then get a +1/+1 in speed and attack, then I can win the game as long as Corviknight is gone. So that's our endgame plan. Rotom does really well because I can Volt Switch on everything not named Flygon, and I can Will-O-Wisp the Flygon. I think I have Will-O-Wisp on this set, but I don't actually think I do. No, I lied. I can Leaf Storm the Flygon. Alright, here we go. So I lead off with Dragapult, predicting a Cinderace lead. He leads Mew, so I'm just going to switch out into my Dark type. He goes into Fluffy to try to trap my Dragapult, which obviously doesn't work out because he was predicting a Shadow Ball, assuming I be Specs again. I get a knockoff on the prediction that he would go into this, and then I go out into my Rotom I'm going to try to set up a nasty plot because this guy can't really touch me. He goes Flygon. I predict a U-turn here. He unfortunately does not U-turn and just Fire Punches, which what I really should have done here was Leaf Storm, but I Thunderbolted because I predicted him to go into Corviknight to get my -2. So here I'm just going to Leaf Storm to take this thing out, but unfortunately I lost my Rotom for pretty much nothing. Yeah, and it was good in this game, but it's okay. We can play through it. Hopefully we'll just be able to keep putting in work with Crocodile. So anyway, I'm going to go into my Scarm on this Mew because I don't think it can really touch me, but it turns out to have Volt Switch, which does tickle a little bit. And here I think we're going to set up Rocks. Yeah, because we want Rocks up on his side. Now this Cinderace, I just decided to sack my Rotom too, and he's going to go for the high jump kick, which I wish I'd gone into Dragapult, but okay. So I do go Dragapult here, hoping he's locked in, which he turns out to not be and goes for a bulk up on my substitute, which is unfortunate because I was hoping for a Sucker Punch there or a switch out if he was locked in. So this is going to allow him to not get two-shot by my Dragon Darts, and he is going to be able to hit me with a Pyro Ball, which breaks my sub, obviously. Then here, I'm going to make a poor decision and Dragon Darts him into Blaze range, which allows his Pyro Ball to do 67% and burn me. Now, if he wasn't in Blaze, obviously would have done what? It wouldn't have had the 1.5 power or whatever you get from Blaze. And then he was able to knock me off the Sucker Punch because I can't switch out because rocks are up, obviously. So this is an unfortunate situation for us. We are going to be able to revenge this thing with an Aqua Jet from my Samurott, and we do that. So yeah. here he's going into Mew, and I don't really want to take a Volt Switch with this guy, so I'm going into Crocodile, but he makes a good play, and I think he body presses here. No, he just Toxics. On my... And I'm kicking myself for not staying in Swords Dancing, because I could have gotten a free knockoff here. I don't know that I could have beaten this thing. But here, I'm go Earthquake, predicting him to go Diancie on the knockoff. But this makes sense too, because I already knocked off its item. And here he bulks up, and from there I have no way to beat this, because I've lost my 2 ways to beat it in Rotom and Dragapult. So my only hope here is to try and... That does too much, so I'd have to try and Swords Dance and Aqua Jet, and I'm going to speed this up, because he's just going to be able to body press the rest of my Pokemon, because I can't do any damage to him, because my only special attacker left is Florges, which only has Moonblast, and so I'm just going to sit here and click attacks and let him defeat the rest of my Pokemon. I could have tried to stall a little more with, like, Roosting with Prince Royce, but it wouldn't have changed the outcome. Because, like you can see here, I only have Toxic to hit him. And then I also had Iron Head on that set to hit Mega Diancie. But, yeah. And this game will unfortunately end poorly. Oh, he had Mirror Armor. I didn't even notice that before. Yeah. Probably could have tried to stall out all his body presses, looking back. He only had 16, but it's okay. Huh. Yeah, looking back, I probably should have played that better. Anyway. So after that unfortunate start to the series, we are on to Game 2. Now, Game 2, I was absolutely determined to not let my Dragapult and Rotom die, so that I would lose to that Corviknight again. But I think I again led Dragapult, and this time I was ready for a Mew lead I led Skarmory into the Mew lead, yeah, because I wanted to exchange rocks at least if he was going to get him. So then I'm going to go Chino, expecting him to not click Body Press, but he does in fact click Body Press. And here I expected to be faster because I didn't think he would be max speed, but he was max speed because he had to be Jolly to outspeed me. So here I figure his only attacking move is probably Body Press, because he probably has Roost, and then I figured he probably has Toxic. So I figure I can get a free sub up on this guy. And he brings in the Skuntank to try to Pursuit Trap me, and it's time for us to show off our tech with Will-O-Wisp. And on this specific team, this was a different team than I used on the first one, just the same 6 Pokemon. I am a special Dragapult, so I have Scald to hit this. So we're just going to click Scald, do 12%. I realize this thing is Assault Vest from that damage. And as you can see, the Pursuit can't break my sub. Even a max stack Adamant Pursuit wouldn't have broken my sub after he was burned, because I'm max defense Dragapult. So we're just going to sit here and we're going to sub up on this guy. And eventually, here in a couple turns, if I speed it up, we're going to defeat this Skuntank. Which was really exciting, because obviously Skuntank was probably here just to counter my Dragapult. And we're actually also going to get out of this exchange with a sub-up here at the end, which is really nice. Because you can see he's going to die to burn next time, so we can just substitute up, and he will die to burn, and that's it. So we got rid of the Skuntank, he got rid of our Crocodile. Probably not an even trade, but it's okay. He goes into this, and this actually is my counter to Cinderace, so I'm just going to go for the Scald. He's going to click Pyro Ball. Now, I am scared of a Sucker Punch here, so I'm going to switch out into Samurott, because I figured either the Pyro Ball or the Sucker Punch was coming. He goes for the Pyro Ball. Good prediction to get into me, or I think he might have been Banded. No, I think he's heavy to boots, actually. And anyway, here he goes into Corviknight as I Swords Dance, predicting him to switch out. Now, I know he's probably going to go for the Bulk Up, but I have the tech for that, which actually was on my first Samurott, and I probably should have gone for it, which is Taunt. And I have Taunt so he can't Bulk Up, and I'm able to set up even more in his face with another 2 Swords Dances. And he's going for Body Press here. And obviously, as you can see, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. We are able to get 2 more Swords Dances and get up to +6 attack. And we still don't even knock this stupid thing out at +6 because Corviknight is too bulky. We go for the knockoff, though, to do the most damage that we possibly can. Knock off his leftovers. He body presses us again. We're down to 25, but luckily with leftovers, we're getting some nice passive recovery, and we are able to knock him out with another knockoff. We're trying to hide the fact that we have Aqua Jet, so he might go into something else so that he would go into this and not Sucker Punch was our hope, but he does Sucker Punch anyway, and we go for the Aqua Jet. It's okay, the Sucker Punch doesn't kill us, and we are able to take this thing out. So from there, it's looking pretty good for us because we are at +6, and here we are able to just Aqua Jet into the Mew and knock it out, and this is going to be it, a clean sweep with Samurott. This was pretty exciting. I can speed this up because obviously game 1 went so poorly, but here we were able to just click Aqua Jet a couple times and win the game. And as you can see, his team is pretty weak to Samurott, at least this version, because he didn't bring Gourgeist, and even if he did, we have knockoff, and he also didn't bring his Vaporeon, which could obviously have Water Absorb. So we're going into game 3, 1-1, hoping that Samurott can carry us to another one, or that someone else can put in the work, namely Rotom. Crocodile WinCon is looking not as good because I can't seem to beat the stupid Corviknight. At least he's not letting it die, for good reason, obviously. So we've kind of just shifted to using Crook to try to knock a couple things off, get rid of some items, and maybe also be a slight switch into that Skuntank. So here, we're coming in with the same team as the first game, I think, and we're subbing up on the Cinderace because this is our Cinderace answer, and we want to try to avoid any potential. So here he goes for Dark Pulse. Now, that's interesting because I figure this is a switch he made, and I still think he might have Pursuit, but he's not going for it. Just clicking the Dark Pulse. So I'm going to just switch out, assuming he's not going to Pursuit, and we get into our Chino. Now, here we can just throw out an Earthquake, or we can knock off predicting the Duck, and I think we just knock off predicting the Duck. Yep, we do. We get 30% off, 37% off on it, get rid of his leftovers. I assume he's going to Roost, but even if he attacks, I got a pretty safe switch into Rotom-Mow. Here, he decides to double into Cinderace, which is smart, and I decide, since I have a Fire Resist Berry, Aqua Berry, I can just stay in and get some damage off on this, which I do. A nice 55%. And here, hoping he clicks High Jump Kick again, but knowing he'll probably click Pyro Ball, I just go into Alvarez-Solaire, which takes 33%, which is fine. And predicting a Sucker Punch, I go out into my Samurott. He goes into his Skuntank, and I figure this thing probably can't touch me too much, so I just want to go for a Sword Stance and try to break his team. He goes out into Diancie, which actually might have been able to live if we were our leftover set again, but on this set, which was the first team, we're Mystic Water to guarantee KO a Diancie. So the critical hit didn't matter, actually, because we were Mystic Water. Goes into Flygon, which can probably take a hit. We're going for Aqua Jet, but luckily he can't do very much back to us with Earth Power since we're max HP. And we're able to just take this out with another Aqua Jet, which is nice. Here is Mew, which we can take out with a knockoff. He can't do a whole lot to us with Psychic Fangs, so we just go for the knockoff. He does happen to be Colbur Berry, so he can live that, but he won't be able to live the following Aqua Jet, which we go for and take him out. Here he goes into Corviknight, which is going to die, I think, to an Aqua Jet. No, it doesn't. But he goes for the Body Press, knocks us down to 7. And we are able to knock it out with another Aqua Jet. He's going to go into Cinderace and predict us to click Swords Dance on the Sucker Punch, but we are able to just Aqua Jet him and knock him out. Here he does actually click Sucker Punch with this thing, and we're just able to go into Crocodile and finish it off with an Earthquake. So after game 2, we do have 2 Samurott sweeps, pretty much. I mean, Samurott didn't get the last kill on this one, but that's okay. Samurott looked really good, and it did really well in both of those games. And we're hoping we can get another one in game 4. Now here's game 4. Flipped the wrong way, but in game 4, he brings the Samurott counter team with both Vaporeon and Gourgeist, which I can't knock out with Aqua Jet. Now my Samurott will be able to probably hit the Gourgeist with knockoff unless it's Colberberry, and the Vaporeon, if it's not fully physically defensive, will also take a lot from knockoff. So but also notably, he no longer has a Volt switch in, and I think on this set we were Scarf Rotom on this game. So he's just going to go into this thing to start. I don't want to take a high jump kick, and he goes for Fireball, misses, which is nice. Goes into the Skuntank, we get a sub up. I go for a Will-O-Wisp here, I miss, and then I make a misplay on this next turn, predicting him to Pursuit. I go for a Will-O-Wisp, but I don't even think he had Pursuit on this set, looking back, because he is able to just get 62% off on me with the Dark Pulse, which is really bad. And we do just go out into Chino this time. We take it. We're Assault Vest on this one to try to take better hits. We knock off, get some damage off on the Corviknight. I make the prediction he's not going to Roost, but I miss the Thunderfang, unfortunately. We could have this thing down to like 20%, but we can't, unfortunately. And this comes in, hits me with the Fireball. Here, I hope he stays in and goes, so I go for the counter. He unfortunately does not, and I go for the Stealth Rocks, not thinking this would be Dragonance this time, but it was. Here, he's able to just knock out my Rotom with the Psychic Fangs because he's at +1. Here, I'm going to predict him to go for the Dragon Dance here, click the Iron Head, predict him to attack here, go for the counter, yep, and then predict him to die to Flare Blitz recoil here, which he doesn't, actually. He lives on 14%, wish I was Rocky Helmet, but we are able to take him out with Samurott's Aqua Jet. So here our endgame is looking like Samurott. The way he brought this in, I'm guessing he's Colberberry. So he is able to do a ton of damage with this Power Whip though. So I'm just going to Synthesis until he hopefully misses. But he gets a crit instead of missing. And I'm just going to Synth up again. So I see this take rocks, and I know that it's not Heavy Duty Boots. I think from damage earlier I knew it was Banded. So here I'm just going to sack Floor just to try to get damage off on this thing. Because I also don't really want to switch in anyone else on him. Then I can go into this guy, Aqua Jet, predicting him to not want to let me set up. Then he goes into Gourgeist, has leftovers. I go for knockoff just to find out, yeah, he is Colberberry. I wouldn't have knocked out anyway, and I needed him to miss a Power Whip. But now I know that he is running Colberberry on this thing, and he does have Shadow Sneak, and takes out my Dragapult. So we do unfortunately lose in Game 4, but that's okay. We learned a lot about his counter team to my Samurott, and we can be more ready to face it in the final one. So in the final game, I'm going to go with, I forget which one of the two. It was the one with Scarf Rotom on this one, I think. Yeah, it must have been. So this was the team that I brought in Game 2 and Game 4. And I brought it again here in Game 5 with a slight alteration of, I changed something, but I don't remember what it was. I think I put a Choppleberry on Crocodile, was the only change I made, so that I could take a Cinderace high jump kick. Yeah, that was it. And so here it is, Game 5 of the finals. And we're looking at the Cinderace counter team and just hoping that Cinderace can, the Samurott counter team, and hoping that Samurott can still pull it out even through the counter team. So we lead out with our Crocodile, I think we were hoping to catch the Mew lead, but unfortunately he doesn't. So we do have to go out into our Rotom. He makes a good prediction, hits me with the Ice Beam, and we take 57% off the bat. We are able to just go for, it was the Choice Scarf team. Okay, we are able to just go for the Volt Switch, get some damage off on this thing, go out into Dragapult, predicting him to go out into this. I think I just go for a Will-O-Wisp. Yep, I think I wanted the Will-O-Wisp on it anyway for some residual chip, and so it couldn't knock out the Samurott. So here I'm just going out into Crocodile, assuming he's that same set with the Dark Pulse and no Pursuit. Yep, he is. And we are able to, here just go for a knockoff, I think, predicting the Corviknight switch in. Yep, we do. And I think I just go for Thunderfang here, do I? No, I go out into Dragapult. I think he U-turns, making a good play here. Yep, he does. and is able to get in his Gourgeist. No, he goes into Mew, which I figure it's probably the Dragon Dance Mew again because the team looks the same. So I want to burn it, even if it burns myself. Because on this one I'm Special Dragapult, so it wouldn't have been as big of a deal for me. I would have lost my leftovers, but that's okay. He goes out into this thing, and I figure I can just go back out into Crocodile. Here he goes for the Dark Pulse again, and this time I think I'm going to go for the Thunder Fang, predicting him to go back out into the Corviknight. I want to do the most damage I could to that. He goes into this thing, though, and takes the Thunder Fang relatively well. Here, I just want to pop the Colbur so I can win eventually with my guy, Samurott. And I am able to get that out of the way. So this is one thing that is in the way of Samurott that's out of the way. The Corviknight's at 73%, so our Samurott endgame isn't looking too bad. And we are able to just fully take this out with the Moonblast, which is nice. I was thinking about Calm Minding there, but I didn't. Here, we're just going to go into our dedicated Cinderace answer. Dragapult takes 44%, and I know this is banded from that damage. So I know I'm pretty safe to go for a Scald, I think I do here. Yeah, I do, because I knew he couldn't Sucker Punch me. This thing seems to be Assault Vest again, and no, actually, it's Black Sludge, I lied to you. But here, I think it's probably safe to go into Skarmory, but then he reveals, after clicking Dark Pulse once, that he is, in fact, Nasty Plot Skuntank, which is very bad, because if he has a Fire-type move, a Dark-type move, and I just set up Stealth Rocks here not thinking he could do anything, but he does, in fact, seem to be able to do something. Here he just goes for another Nasty Plot, which I don't know if this is the best play, but so I get an Iron Head critical hit, which is nice, which is going to make it easier for me to KO this here in a couple turns with something else. He has the Fire Blast. I wish I'd gone out into Florges on this, because as we're about to find out here after I Volt Switch to get Chip on him so I can kill him with another Volt Switch, we go into Florges. He goes for the Fire Blast, I think, or the Dark Pulse. Does 21%. He's gonna go. We find out here he doesn't actually have a poison move, so he's got Nasty Plot, Fire Blast, Dark Pulse, and maybe Pursuit is the last one. But we are able to knock this thing out, and I could have saved my Skarmory just by going into this, but hindsight is 20/20. Here he goes into Cinderace and takes the Rocks damage. This is Bandit. I can't switch anything in on it. So here we're just going to go Samurott. I figure he needs to keep this, and he's got the Vaporeon to switch in, so I go for Swords Dance here. Here I'm just going to hope that I don't get Scald Burned and click Swords Dance again. Because I can beat his team if I don't get Scald Burned, but he goes for the Hidden Power Electric, which is interesting, because that means he doesn't even have the chance of burning me. Here I go for the knockoff, because I know 2 will kill. And he goes for the Wish. Now here, I predict him to predict my Swords Dance and not protect, which he doesn't protect, and I'm able to get the knockout there, which is excellent. And from there, we're looking really good, because this thing can't knock me out. I can just click knockoff into it. And he's even got the Colbur Berry, but it doesn't matter. We kill him through the Colbur Berry. So you see that. And then in comes this guy, who can do Sucker Punch for about 30% to me. If he was Libero, he would have had a shot to KO. But he wasn't, luckily, because it wasn't allowed. I only learned later. That roll with Libero actually would have knocked me out. But anyway, it doesn't matter, because we are able to then just Aqua Jet this guy down. He is going to try to Roost Stall us. It's okay, though, because we are going to do more than enough damage. We're doing 50%. He heals 50%. We have more Aqua Jets. We do 59 that time, which is a wild roll. And luckily, from that last leftovers recovery, we are able to live the Body Press, and we do KO the Corviknight and win the finals of Tony's Game Show Network Draft League Season 2. Which is extremely exciting. Wow. Yes, Finals MVP, definitely Samurott. It did everything we asked for and more. The priority in Aqua Jet, my team doesn't have a lot of priority on it, but Samurott was the priority. It had Swords Dance, it was perfect. It did everything. Dragapult put in work in the finals, put in work the whole season, really brought us here. And luckily we were able to pull it out and win. After our first place finish in the regular season, we also have a first place finish in the finals. I guess we won the finals. But anyway, yeah, so if you watched this season, thank you. It's been exciting. We're going to be playing in Tony's Game Show Network, which is now just the Game Show Network, Season 3. Season 3 here pretty soon, and we started the draft, and I do have the Broken Cat Qian Pao, so I'm excited to use that. Very excited to use that. Anyway, that's all from me. I'll see you guys later.